How is it possible that a massive logistics fleet stretching 2 kilometers long, escorted by armored vehicles, protected by artillery, and equipped with electronic warfare systems, could be crippled in a matter of minutes by a swarm of cheap drones assembled from plastic parts? Is the era of the giant steel war machine over? Or is this proof that in modern warfare, sheer size is no longer an advantage, but a fatal weakness? It was 6:17 in the morning. The sun was just beginning to peek over the eastern horizon. A Russian supply convoy, stretching nearly 2 kilometers long, was only minutes away from reaching safer ground near Crimea. From the dirt, it looked like a routine logistics run. Supply trucks, fuel tankers, ammunition carriers, and armored vehicles rolled steadily south along the M14 highway. But high above, they were not alone. Ukrainian reconnaissance drones had been watching them in absolute silence for hours. Ukraine could have launched the attack much earlier. They had the weapons and they had the targets, but they didn't. Why? Because striking too soon would have been a mistake. This wasn't just about destroying trucks. This was about destroying a system. And to destroy a system, you need one crucial element: patience. This operation didn't begin with a deafening artillery barrage. It began with analytical observation. The Ukrainian drone teams weren't hunting for a single high-value truck. They were studying the entire formation. Every change in speed, every shift in spacing, and every maneuver by the armored escorts gave them a clearer picture. Taking out one vehicle wouldn't stop this mission. A convoy of this length is designed to absorb sporadic losses. If one truck is disabled, the others simply bypass it. If a tanker is damaged, it's left behind. As long as the road ahead remains open, the fuel and ammunition will eventually reach the front lines. That is why Ukraine waited. At this point, the convoy still had too much room to breathe. Large gaps between the vehicles gave the Russian drivers time to react. If the attack came now, armored vehicles could maneuver, trucks could scatter, and the convoy could escape the asphalt before they were boxed in. But geography was about to betray the Russians. South of Melitopol, the M14 highway narrows between open fields and sparse tree lines. Escape routes vanish, cover becomes practically non-existent, and heavy machinery suddenly has no room to maneuver. The deeper the convoy moved into this choke point, its massive 2-kilometer size shifted from being a show of force into a massive liability. As the space shrinks, every vehicle becomes entirely dependent on the one in front of it. A single, minor delay at the front will ripple like a shockwave all the way to the back of the column. This was the exact moment Ukraine had been waiting for. They let the battlefield build the trap for them. "6:31 a.m. The long wait was over. The Russian vehicles had entered the kill zone, a stretch of road with zero margin for error. At that precise moment, several Ukrainian FPV drones lifted off simultaneously. There was no hail of missiles. No artillery bombardment. This first move was small, lightning fast, and surgically precise. It was an attack built on timing, not explosive spectacle. The first drone didn't aim for the vehicle with the deadliest cargo. Its goal wasn't to create the biggest fireball. It had only one objective: stop the lead vehicles and kill the convoy's forward momentum. Seconds later, a second FPV plunged into the absolute rear of the massive formation. This tactic is known as boxing. Once the head and the tail are paralyzed, the shape of the convoy shatters. Drivers in the middle were suddenly facing a nightmare. Moving forward meant ramming into burning wreckage. Reversing was completely impossible. The convoy began to compress, folding in on itself inside the narrow corridor of the M14. What was once a smooth, flowing logistical artery was now a massive, trapped line of scrap metal. This was the true genius of the opening strike. Ukraine wasn't trying to destroy every vehicle in the first wave. They attacked the concept of movement itself at its most fragile second. A convoy survives on flow and rhythm. It needs space, clear orders, and an open road. When those three things are stripped away, even the most dangerous cargo fuel tankers, ammunition trucks, and armored escorts are jammed into the exact same spot. They become sitting ducks. Panic spreads faster than orders. Trapped inside the formation, crews could only see smoke and stopped trucks. The radio networks were flooded with people shouting the same questions. Is the road ahead clear? Can we turn around? Ukraine had achieved its first objective. The convoy wasn't completely destroyed yet, but the M14 had transitioned from a supply route into a drone-pressured kill zone. But a trapped convoy is not a defeated convoy. The Russian forces were not defenseless. And here began the second phase of the battle, an absolute, desperate scramble for the only way out. Realizing the M14 had become a death trap, Russian crews began looking for an exit off the asphalt and into the adjacent dirt fields. From the belly of the formation, a steel monster pushed its way forward. It was an IMR-2, a combat engineering vehicle designed specifically to carve out paths when movement seems impossible. The IMR-2 was the lifeline for this convoy. If this machine could clear the obstacles and carve a rough dirt track, the other vehicles could escape one by one. Of course, the IMR-2 didn't work alone. BTR-82A armored personnel carriers fanned out to shield the escape attempt. Their mission was critical: keep the Ukrainian FPV drones away from the engineering vehicle long enough for the IMR-2 to finish its job. The BTR-82A is armed with a 30mm autocannon. And those cannons began to sweep the sky. A storm of tracer rounds shredded the airspace above the escape route. Several Ukrainian drones failed to reach their targets. Some were blown out of the sky, others lost their video feeds, and some simply missed their marks under the intense defensive fire. This was the first sign that Ukraine's ambush was facing fierce resistance. The Russian engineering vehicle was inching forward, 40 meters into the field, then 50. The path was incredibly rough, but it offered hope. A few Russian truck drivers revved their engines back to life. This hope was incredibly dangerous for Ukraine crews who believe an exit exists, will refuse to abandon their vehicles. Worse still, in the distance, Russian artillery began firing counter-battery barrages toward the suspected Ukrainian drone control zones. The explosions were creeping closer to the Ukrainian pilots. The tide was threatening to turn. The battlefield was pushing back against the hunters. Time was running out for Ukraine. Drone batteries were draining, signal quality was dropping due to distance and artillery fire. If the Russian BTRs kept the skies clear, and the IMR-2 managed to widen that dirt path, the convoy was going to slip the noose. Ukraine had to shift their focus. Wasting drones on supply trucks in the rear was no longer relevant. The primary target was now time, and that time was being bought by the Russian steel shield. The next wave of Ukrainian drones wasn't aimed at the cargo trucks. They were flown directly at the BTR-82As. The goal wasn't necessarily to vaporize the armor, but to force them to maneuver. Every time a BTR had to dodge a drone, its cannon fire paused, and every second of hesitation restricted the IMR-2 from working freely. But simply delaying them wasn't enough. Ukraine needed a devastating blow that would crush the rescue effort from the inside out. "6:38 a.m., Ukraine selected a target that would alter the landscape of the battle in a matter of seconds. An FPV slammed directly into a Russian fuel tanker right in the dead center of the trapped convoy. At first, it looked like just another explosion, but then the true disaster unfolded. Thick, pitch-black smoke billowed into the sky, spreading across the narrow highway and swallowing half of the convoy in total darkness. Inside the convoy, visibility dropped to zero. Drivers couldn't see the bumpers of the trucks right in front of them. Panic skyrocketed. The smoke killed the rhythm of the IMR-2 trying to forge a path. They were now operating in boiling heat, zero visibility, and total chaos. But the smoke was a double-edged sword. It blinded the Russians, yes, but it also blinded the Ukrainian drones. The pilots' screens showed nothing but black clouds. The silhouettes of vehicles would appear for a fraction of a second, then vanish. This was the most critical juncture of the ambush. Ukraine did not have an infinite supply of drones. They had to make an agonizing choice. Do they hunt the few trucks that occasionally break through the edge of the smoke? Or do they risk flying blind into the thickest part of the cloud, guessing where the ammunition carriers were hiding? Ukraine chose the risk. Destroying one escaping vehicle only removes one truck, but detonating ammunition hidden inside the smoke, that breaks the spine of the entire formation. The initial explosion might have looked small, but seconds later, the deadly cargo took over. A chain reaction of massive secondary explosions ripped through the convoy as the ammo trucks cooked off. Shrapnel and white-hot metal swept up and down the M14. Vehicles that might have been salvageable minutes ago were now permanently locked in place by fire and twisted wreckage. The convoy was no longer just being attacked by drones, it was being eradicated by its own cargo. The evacuation effort collapsed. Russian soldiers began abandoning vehicles with the engines still running, sprinting for the ditches to survive the endless ammunition cook-offs. The logistics mission had evaporated before their eyes. With their final battery draining and the signal fading to nothing, one last Ukrainian drone was sent in. The target, the IMR-2. The engineering vehicle took a direct hit, and its engine died. The asphalt of the M14 was still on the map, but the logistics convoy was gone. The ambush on the M14 proved a terrifying new military doctrine. A logistics convoy does not need to be 100% destroyed to be defeated. The only thing that matters is that their mission to deliver ammo and fuel to Crimea completely failed. For Ukraine, the lesson is clear. They hold the asymmetric advantage. Cheap drones, costing a fraction of traditional weapons, can generate massive, destructive ripples across a battlefield when combined with observation, terrain awareness, perfect timing, and brilliant target selection. For Russia, the cost of this failure goes far beyond the loss of a single convoy. Future supply runs will require significantly heavier armored escorts, massive electronic jamming bubbles, and dedicated artillery support. This means their logistics will move slower and cost much more. In a prolonged war of attrition, logistical delays are just as lethal as physical destruction. Every battle teaches us about strategy, technology, and human decision-making. But beneath this tactical analysis, we are always reminded that war carries a human cost far greater than the rusted steel left on a highway. Understanding how conflicts unfold is our first step in truly appreciating the necessity of peace. If you found this documentary analysis insightful, please leave a like on the video, share your thoughts down in the comments, and subscribe to US Military for more deep dive analyses on global warfare and geopolitics. We'll see you in the next report.